Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. An important issue regarding Islamic punishments is the fact that apostasy is punishable by death. There is almost a consensus on this issue. Our jurists think that every person who leaves Islam must be punished by death. Now, this opinion of theirs is not based on the Quran. Of course, there is no punishment of apostasy which is mentioned in the Quran. This opinion is based on a hadith which is narrated in various books of hadith. For example, one of its texts in Bukhari is, "Man baddala deenahu faqtuluhu." He who changes his religion should be executed, he should be killed. Now, on the basis of this narrative, it is opined by our jurists that every person who leaves Islam has to be killed. Now, one important thing which needs to be understood is that whenever we understand a hadith, whenever we interpret a hadith, it is essential to relate it to its foundations, to its original mention in the Quran, how it is mentioned, how a directive is mentioned in the Quran. A hadith cannot give an independent directive of Islam. It has to be based on a directive of the Quran or the Sunnah or the established concepts of sense and reason. It cannot give an independent directive. Now, if we relate this particular narrative to its basis in the Quran, we find that there is a law which is mentioned in the Quran at a number of places, and it can be called the law of Itmam al-Hujjah, or a law as per which the Almighty Himself, in the times of His own messengers, punishes people who intentionally deny the truth. Amongst these people, those who intentionally adhere to polytheism or shirk, they are punished by the punishment of death. They are to be executed. And those who primarily are monotheists, they are allowed to live on their own religion, provided that they remain subservient in the Quran. Now, it is towards these people, or the people who are the mushrikeen, that the Quran has mentioned very clearly in Surah Tawbah, فَإِذَنْ سَلَخَ الْأَشْهُرُ الْحُرُمْ فَاقْتُلُوا الْمُشْرِكِينَ حَيْثُ وَجَدتُّمُوهُمْ. When the forbidden months are over, slay the idolaters wherever you find them. So it is mentioned in the Quran that the idolaters are to be punished by death if, in spite of being convinced of the fact that idolatry or polytheism is something which is against the truth, they still adhere to it. Now, amongst these people, some of them who, if they accept faith and then they revert back once again to shirk, then indeed about these people that this narrative says that man baddala deenahu faqtuluhu, among these mushrikeen who have already been destined for death. Now, if they accept faith, of course, they will be neutralized. This punishment will not be given to them. However, if they revert back to their own faith, if they revert back to their own shirk or polytheism, then the death penalty will once again stand on them. So in other words, what this narrative is saying is that the idolaters amongst the last prophet who were facing this death punishment had to face this death once again if they reverted back to their own idolatry. So it has to be realized that the punishment of apostasy in Islam, there is no punishment for apostasy in Islam. What the narrative is saying is a very specific thing. It's primarily a corollary of a law which is stated in the Quran, as for which people who adhere to shirk are punished by death by the Almighty. And in the times of the last Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, of course, this law came into play for the last time, and the mushrikun, or the idolaters, they were to be punished by death if they did not accept faith. And it is indeed about these mushrikun who after accepting faith again reverted back to their own status of shirk, or their own state of shirk, that this narrative says, "Man baddala deenahu faqtuluhu." Those among these mushrikeen who revert back to their own faith and become mushrik once again, then they must be put to death. So in other words, the bottom line is that the punishment of apostasy, there is no punishment of apostasy in Islam, absolutely. The Quran says, "Man sha'a falyu'min, man sha'a falyakfur." It is up to a person to accept faith, and it is up to him to accept disbelief. So therefore, there is no punishment for apostasy in Islam. What this narrative says is a very specific thing which relates to a specific law which came into play in the times of the messengers of God, and the last time that it was implemented, which was in the times of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wa alihi wasallam. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين والمسلمات.